Welcome to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and today I am delighted to be joined by ex-Celt Mike Galloway. Welcome to ACSOM. How you doing, Mike?
I'm fine, Paul. Good to see you. Hey, about time, because we've talked a lot on the phone, but it's really good to see you.
You've got an illustrious career, but you've also got an after career that, you know, there's been ups and downs. We're sitting here in the tranquil environment of your back garden, and it's lovely. It's lovely to be here. But we were speaking earlier about your late father. He introduced you to football and to Celtic as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he certainly did. My dad was in the army for 22 years, but when he was stationed in Glasgow, we used to go to Lesser Hampden and watch the reserves play and the Celtic train all the time. And if we could get to a few games when he wasn't working, and we'd go to the games. So, I think you hear quite a lot about all these people that sign for clubs, and I've supported them all my life and things like that. No, I was quite fortunate to be brought up that way, and very privileged to get to where I got to and play for the best club in the world.
Absolutely. When I look at your career, I try and find out if you're at a club who might have been there, and you were at Berwick Rangers at the same time as Frank Connor, am I right? Now, Frank was a bit of a legendary figure, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was great. Frank, I was playing under 18 levels. Well, I wasn't, it was like 16. And I got asked to go along to Berwick and train. Well, I was asked to go along on a YTS scheme when you used to get £25 a week or whatever. But it was great because I went to Berwick Rangers. I was there every day. I cleaned the boots, I cleaned the toilets off the chairs from the birds. And I trained and done things with the first team in the reserves, and it was great, aye. And Frank was there, and then I met up with Frank once again. It's quite surreal in a little way. I'm forwarding fast a little bit here, but I was also a schoolboy at Leicester City when Jock Wallace was manager.
Right.
And I used to go down there on school holidays, and it came to the time where if I was going to sign for apprentice or not, and unfortunately they said I wasn't good enough. I had to put beef on and blah blah blah, and it was the longest strange journey I had in my life. I thought my football career was over. Then I was alone at Leicester.
Yeah.
And then my football career was over. I had the car accident. So it's quite surreal how it all turned round and went round and round in circles, you know.
Definitely.
And like with Frank at Berwick, then Frank at Celtic. It was crazy. But that was the Leicester thing. It was quite traumatising in a way when I go back to it, when after the accident and think about it. Was that supposed to happen? But it did, and that was part of my life. My life, whatever happened in my life, that's the way it was going to be. I mean, I believe that. Whatever happened in my life just now, I believe that was meant to happen too. I mean, I met Can. Things are great. All our lives revolves around animals, horses, dogs, and that's all we do. That's all we do. Outside all the time.
We spoke before, Mike, about how important your dogs were to you. And we'll get back to that because obviously during some dark times, you know, they were a shining light for you as well.
Yeah, Chase. I got Chase when I was first getting sober, and he passed away 4 years ago now. And he took me through some really bad times when I wanted to drink. It's strange because he would look at me, know there's something going on. It was like he would go to the door, he'd want to walk because he knew I had to get out. He knew I had to do things. And it was me and him for years and years. He was my best pal. In a way, I could put it down. It sounds a bit corny, but he could have saved my life in a wee way. Because I was going through a bad time, like you know, and people know. It doesn't bother me about talking about it. But yeah, I do believe he was a big part of my recovery through everything, yeah.
It's incredible. You know that early knock in your career where you've been going down to Leicester, but they decide not to take you on. Could that have knocked you to a degree, Mike, where you just left the game? You know, because there's a lot of kids in the same scenario in their teenage years.
Yeah. You hear it all the time, and it's quite sad because at such a young age, they go to drugs or drink or gangs or whatever. But I got back up the road, and my dad's my dad. He was a PTI in the army. He was solid. He was such a loving man, but he was hard. And I just got back up, and he got me in the house. And they were the days before mobile phones, so I couldn't phone him on the train and whatever. I got back up, and he just gives a big hug and says, "Right, what are you going to do?" And I says, "I don't know, Dad." He says, "I know what you're going to do. You're going to work harder, aren't you?" And that was it. He supported me through my life, supported me through the early stages of my football, took me everywhere. I wasn't the richest family in the world. We were just a normal family. Like, there's lots out there. And yeah, we just worked harder, and I just kept playing and playing. Saturday morning, Sunday afternoon, Saturday afternoon, everything. I just kept playing. And then eventually I played for Elphiston Primrose in Edinburgh. You probably know, you know that. And then I got moved down to Mansfield.
You spent 4 years down south?
Believe it or not, the way my career went, it was a year and a half at Mansfield Town. I went to Halifax. I was a captain there for a year and a half. Hearts came in to buy me. I was at Hearts a year and a half. And then the shining light came and topped me, and Celtic signed me.
Did you enjoy your time down south?
That was my graft. That was my when you played in the old 4th division, you became a man. It was hard. And we're talking hard. The referee didn't give fouls in this. You had to get stuck in. And that got me through everything. And that's why I think little Doddy signed me for Hearts, with Alan McDonald.
That was a hard team, the Hearts team, Mike. That was a hard team, wasn't it?
Yeah, we worked hard for each other. Right? We did so well in the league. The time I was there, Europe, great time. I mean, I had a great year in Europe too. And I think that's what really egged Billy McNeil on to buy me.
Now, I look at the Hearts side that you played with. You had the kind of hard edge, and that was probably because of the management team. But you also had the talent. You had the flair of, the flair players that Hearts brought in as well. European football, what is it with Mike Galloway and European football? Because that started at Hearts. I mean, were you one of these guys that you were up for the big games?
I don't know, I think I was up for any game. But so, yeah, I think they were probably a bit bigger. I went out with the mentality, it was like, I'm not scared of nothing. And that's just the way I played football. I'm not bothered about whatever happens. I'm going out there, give 100%. If I can give 100%, I can go in the change room after the game and be happy with that. But it was strange, European nights. I mean, I scored six in the 1 year, And I went to Celtic, I scored a few. So
yeah,
it was great nights. But then there again, see, when you play a European night at Celtic Park, you can't explain the atmosphere. It's just, it goes me off. But yeah, European nights were good for me.
you certainly enjoyed quite a few at Hearts and Celtic. Billy McNeil signs you, Celtic legend. Take us back to the time where you first found out Celtic were interested.
Crazy story. Summer holidays, season's finished. Me and my ex-wife decide to go up Pitlochry, all over Scotland. So we hired a caravanette and away we went. Didn't give nobody my number. Nobody knew my number, apart from my mum. So a phone call at the caravan park. It says, "Call for Mike." And I went, "Nobody knows I'm here, apart from Mum, and it wouldn't be apart from an emergency. You have to phone Hearts." I went, "Well, right, okay." And before that, Tosh McKinley kept saying to me, "Celtic's going to buy you," And I just brushed it off thinking, Jesus Christ, no way, man, Celtic would even go that way. So anyway, I phoned Hearts and said, "You've got to come in straight away." And there was, at the time, I think there was the under 18 or under 21 European Championships were getting held at Tynecastle.
I remember it. Yeah, it was a World Cup.
World Cup, was it? Yeah. Right. And so I had to leave Pitlochry we were in at the time, get a hire car, drive straight back to Hearts. Wallace Mercer was there, and he got me and he says, Celtic's want to buy you. He says, what do you think? And I went, I don't need to think. But he wanted to sell me anyway for money.
Mm.
And I went, where do we go from here then? He went, I'll talk to Billy McNeil and blah, blah, blah. So within a few days, I was back at Pitlock and I was back across at Glasgow, somewhere sneaky before he got into Glasgow with Billy McNeil to talk about it. I left everything. I still had 1.5 years of my contract at Hearts. I still due sign-on fees at Hearts, a lot. And it was just like, I'm off. And that was it.
It's a big
That's
signing.
how I found out.
Big signing though, $500,000.
At the time, it was a lot of money, aye.
Does that mean anything to a player though, Mike? You know, where you've got a big signing transfer fee?
See, I don't believe that. I mean, I know you get players these days that are going for trillions of pounds or whatever money. It's scary. And they say the signing on fees affect them and the way they play and things like that. I don't even think I took that into account when I signed for Celtic. I mean, I had a decent first season. Second season was very, very... I was in and out the team. And then a few years after that wasn't bad. The different managers I played under, but I can't say that. I can't blame that for affecting the way I played. I would say the second year of Celtic. No, it's just my form wasn't there. I think, for me, but I'm an old stager, I think if you're going to get bought for that much money, what's the point of moaning about it? Get on with it.
Yeah. You signed with Paul Elliott and Darius Jakonowski that pre-season. I remember the pictures, yourself, Elliott, Jakonowski. I mean, that was a couple of talented players for Celtic in the late 80s, early 90s, Mike.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, obviously, Jackie was a flair player and Big Elliott was, to be honest, I mean, Big Paul came and he done what he said he was going to do. He was going to come, stay for 1.5 years or whatever and get his move. That's how it was.
Yeah.
I went to Celtic, never think I'd leave Celtic. That's the difference with a Celtic supporter and somebody just going to a club and signing to get a few years out of it and move on, which I don't disagree with. But yeah, Jackie was a ladies' boy, wasn't he? He was a playboy, simple as that. Him and Elliott were like that. But very, very, very talented players. But you're never going to go buy Paul McStay for me. Never. Best player I've played with.
See, if you look at Paul McStay, I remember him as a kind of younger player coming through. By the time you come to the club, he's won the centenary double with Celtic. He's the Player of the Year in Scotland.
Yeah.
He could have played anywhere, Mike, couldn't he?
Well, we know that, definitely by Christ almighty. He could have played for any team he wanted to play for, he could play for, but he was such a religious, loving, incredible person, had an amazing family, children, all his parents, his sisters, his brothers, incredible people. But yeah, he could have played for anybody he wanted to, but he didn't want to. He wanted to stay with Celtic.
Absolutely. You played under 4 Celtic managers, as well as obviously Frank Connor when he took over for a couple of games.
Yeah.
Talk to us a wee bit about Billy McNeil and his kind of style as well, Mike. Did that suit you?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what obviously he signed me for. Is basically being there and getting stuck in. And obviously Big Billy was like that. Taking no prisoners was his attitude, and I'd done that quite often. But that was part of my game. He used to tell me to go and sort somebody out. I went to sort somebody out. Not in a bad way, but I'll make sure they know I was there. But when he signed me, he just says, come along and play like you did for Hearts. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
He says, you'll fit in with the boys. Great bunch of boys, a great bunch of lads and that. He says, all you can ask for anybody, no matter where you sign them from, is give you 100%. If you give 100%, the supporters will be with you all the time. If you go out and you don't give 100%, they'll be on your back. And I know through my career, I would say, I think Celtic's always supported me, even when I went through my bad times and I never played that well and things like that. I always think the supporters were fantastic with me. Absolutely. Incredible. It's quite touching talking about it right now. Just thinking everybody around that ground, and it's great for everybody to get back now.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing that you wouldn't broadcast, but I'm going to tell the story, is that I was in the Celtic End with my dad one day, and I can't remember if you were suspended or injured, but you were in a rich vein of form. It might have been under Brady actually, because you had a cracking period under Brady. And you paid to get into the Celtic End, and you were standing up the back with your mate because my dad pointed you out and I got you to sign my programme.
Right.
So even though you were playing for Celtic and you were a first pick at this point, you paid to actually go to the game when you weren't able to play.
I'm no different than anybody else. I'm just me. I'm just, well, as my mum calls me, I'm Michael. I only got Mike when I signed for Celtic. But I think it's like when I go back to games now, or that I haven't been for a long time. I'd love to get back up soon. I pay my way. I'll go and stand with the supporters and all that. I'm not going to private boxes. Don't get the atmosphere. You know, I'll go and see the tea ladies. I'll go and see the kit women. The last time I was there was still a few working. It was great to see them. But I don't need to go into an amazing place to be surrounded by beautiful people. When for me, the supporters of Celtic, that's what matters. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason Celtic are going, like every other club, because of the supporters. And I'd rather go in amongst them than sit and get coffee poured in your teacup, or coffee in your coffee cup, or whatever. But that's just the way I was,
Aye, definitely. I seen it. You're talking about the Celtic fans. There's a special bond between the players and the fans, and none more so during a European night. Once again, Mike, you come to Celtic, you're scoring goals against the likes of Partizan Belgrade, and you're playing in some cracking games as well. I mean, the 3-0 game against Cologne, where we pulled it back from 2-0 down.
Right. That's right.
You know, we had a good couple of fixtures.
Yeah.
What's your memories of these games, and in particular that 5-4 game against Partizan Belgrade?
I hadn't got a clue where we were. I hadn't got a clue where we were, what the score was, what's happening. All I can remember was giving away that goal, the beat us. But they didn't know what was going on. But it was because we were favourites to go through, because we got the away goal, didn't we? Mm-hmm. And things where Jackie gets 4. I mean, how can you get beat when you win 4-0 at home? Well, 4-0 and 5-4. It's quite sickening in the change rooms afterwards and all that, but Christ, it must be some game for a neutral.
Oh, definitely. It's incredible. It's one that I still look at. I mean, see, after a game like that, who within the Celtic dressing room, Mike, were the kind of leaders? Who influenced other players?
Big Roy, obviously. Paul McStay, in his nice, quiet way. Never heard Paul McStay raise his voice. Peter Grant, wee Peter was always mouthy. He probably still is. Packy Bonner, like the more obviously seasoned pro. I mean, at the end of the day, see, the thing is about football, you've got a game on the Wednesday or the Tuesday night, whatever it was. You're playing on the Saturday. Mm-hmm. You've got to put that to bed. If you don't put it to bed, you're not going to go into the game on Saturday feeling right, are you? So there's ways of doing it and ways not doing it. If you thought you settle down, you spit your dummy out and you just get back on it.
Mm-hmm. You know, when you think back to your Celtic days, I've spoken to a lot of your teammates under the Billy McNeill era. Mm-hmm. And he put a big onus on the fact that you would be integrating and engaging with Celtic fans by going to supporters clubs and getting involved in all that side of things. Did you enjoy that side of it?
Did I?
Engaging with Celtic fans?
Too much, you just get in trouble now and again. Occasionally, there's a lot of players went to Celtic dances and stayed for a couple of hours, but I would tend to go and stay for a couple of days, which wasn't the right thing to do. But it was just good. It was fun. It was great being around people. And I think I was probably quite easily led in a wee way. So, no, it was really, really good. Just travelling around and seeing all different supporters clubs like Aberdeen, for Christ, the Orkneys and things like that. You know, you never think there's supporters over there, but they are. All the way down England, different places. I've done a lot, and even if I didn't stay for a few days, I'd stay all night.
You know, when you came to Celtic, we'd had a level of success during the centenary season. We'd won the Scottish Cup in '89. We then went into a period of no success. Now, for a Celtic fan playing for the club, the worst time possible to actually come to Celtic. I mean, there was a few managerial changes.
Yeah.
Were you aware, as a player, all the issues that were happening behind the scenes?
I think that's another thing that people talk about can that affect you on the park? I don't think it can affect you on the park. Maybe it's just the way I was brought up in different kind of ways. You still to go out there and do your job. You still do the same day's training. You still do the same preparations, and you still keep doing the same things on a Saturday, going to the games by a bus and blah, blah, blah. So nothing changed for our side of it on the park or in the training ground. So I think there's a few, maybe a few out there use that as excuses where you heard about it, don't get me wrong, you knew things were going on, and no, I wouldn't, I don't think that's, I mean, I know it never affected me, but I don't think it should affect players and different things like that.
It never got to the point, though, where Celtic were struggling to pay wages and things like that, Mike, did it? I mean, I know they were in financial peril nearer the end, but you were able to get on with your football.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think we went through anything that there was no wages paid or nothing like that. There was nothing at all like that. And at the end of the day, you especially at the times where you get paid for doing something that a lot of people don't get to do. You get paid for doing something you enjoy. And some fortunate ones get paid to play for the club they support all their life. So really, it shouldn't affect you. I honestly believe it didn't affect me.
Now, you mentioned earlier about Billy McNeil sometimes would say to you, right, this is your job, sort this one out or that one out. Mike, you're a Celtic fan. You loved playing against Rangers, didn't you?
Aye. You know, the only thing, the only regret, I never scored against Rangers for Celtic. I scored a few for Hearts against Rangers. I scored against Celtic for Hearts, but I never scored against them. But I loved it. It was one of them that you had to keep your temper and keep your cool and all that. You did, but the game, Roy Aitken, first Old Firm derby, Roy Aitken says to me, he says, go out and enjoy it. He says, before you know it, you're back in. And he was right. I was out, half time, full time, you were back in, finished. It just went so quickly. The game was 300 miles an hour. The adrenaline just gets you through everything. Unfortunately, obviously I lost more at the time than winning some because of the situation we were in. It wasn't good enough at the time. Rangers were buying players that caught up with them years down the line with all the money spent, you know.
Yep.
But there was only one person for me that stood in our way of beating Rangers. It was Andy Gorham. He always seemed to be outstanding against Celtic. But say it again, you need to score goals to win games and defend. So,
you know, when you're in the melting pot and you're at Celtic Park in a game like that against Rangers, how are you able to cancel out the mayhem that surrounds that game and focus on the actual football?
It's like every game. You'll hear it when you go out, and you'll hear all the chants, the shitey and all that. Great, I loved it. I think we played one game, we were banned. Supporters were banned.
That's right, yeah.
And there's 45,000 there, and they were all singing shitey. And it was great. Absolutely fantastic. But in the normal game, when you go out there, you hear it from, like when you're warming up, sings about chants and all that for the Celtic supporters, whoever, Rangers, Hearts or whatever. The scenes when you go out the tunnel at the end at the start of the game, as if like you can't hear a thing. That's how you've probably been told that many times.
Yeah.
You can't hear a thing. You can, but you just totally blank off.
Incredible. Celtic did try. I mean, there was that audacious move to bring in Liam Brady. He had some incredible experience in Italy and in England. Big money was spent, Mike. Do you reckon you got your best performances during that period under Liam Brady, and why do you think that was? I mean, you ended up being called up for Scotland.
I think he let me do more, and he moved me back into the back four. Where he always said, because I scored, most of my goals I scored from outside the box. So it was like I had that bit of freeway moving on, like playing a back four, but I could still move out of it. And that's where I scored my goals. I think it just gave me a bit of with changes down the line and different kind of things going on, I think he just gave me a wee lease of life. And he was one of the boys in a wee way, because he liked to laugh, he liked to carry on, he liked to pint at the right time. We used to go to Dublin on tours and things and whatever. So yeah, I got on really well with him and McMahon, yeah. And he seemed to be really good with me. I don't know why. Maybe seeing something.
There was definitely a period, Mike,
Yeah,
where
it was great.
you know,
Yeah,
you had
92,
great
93,
form,
yeah.
great form.
Yeah.
Why do you think, or could he have done anything different to bring success at that period, or were we just so far from what Rangers were doing and the players they were buying? There was nothing that Liam could do.
I honestly thought he would come, and he didn't need much at the time. But you do. You need to sign fresh faces. Whether the background or the members of the board, or whether they can afford it, they can afford the money to get somebody in or whatever, I don't know. See, we try to blank that out. That's nothing to do with us. Obviously, it's on the park. Whether he had the funds to get people in or not, I don't know. I think he maybe made a couple of dodgy signings that never worked out. But all managers do that, you know.
Yeah.
So whether he had the funds and he didn't spend it, or he never had the funds, I don't know.
There was a short period of time, a relatively short period of time, where Liam Brady leaves the club. We bring in Lou McCarry. It doesn't work out. But in between times, you're managed by your old Berwick Rangers pal, Frank Connor. How does the kind of senior pros, because by that time, Mike, you're a senior pro and amongst Tom Boyd and players like that, how do you pull together when you don't have a manager and Frank Connor's taking the team? We played Sporting Lisbon.
Yeah. I think you give just 100%. You just, like, Frank was a very, very well-liked person. He's a lovable guy, but he's and he treated me like he treated me when I was at Berwick, so that was good. I wasn't anybody else. He knew who I was at Berwick. I think his whole camaraderie, whatever, got together, and the players, they just got around him because he can give that out. He's got the vibes. He's got, you know, when he used to help out in training sessions and day things and all that, you would like Frank to be there. So I think that helped a lot. Yeah, definitely.
Neely Mockin was part of the backroom team.
Aye, Mocky.
What's your memories of Neely Mockin?
Not many. I've seen a few games and all that, but as in person-wise, beautiful, lovely, straight for the hip, tells the truth. You had a bad game, you had a bad game, you had a good game, you had an all right game. You wasn't good, you were all right. Just a kip man, what a kip man does, just bit of crack, bit of banter. And it was a sad day when he passed on. But Mucky was a good kid, a good lad.
What was the story with Lou McCarry? A lot of players didn't seem to take to his methods, Mike. Did he suit you?
No, I just I signed a contract for him. But I went to a fashion shoot or whatever with Jackie Zikanovsky, and I can't remember what it was. Anyway, to take some photos with leather jackets on, and we went for a few drinks after it. And anyway, McCarry found out, and he kicked me out of the team. Was Jackie then? Was he still there? Was it somebody else?
Jackie left under Liam Brady.
Right then, so it wasn't Jackie. No, it was one of the other players. I went out for a few drinks after the after party.
It's probably McAvenny, Mike.
No, it wasn't actually. No, he goes to the high places. Him. But he went away, and next day he got me in, and he says, "What are you playing?" I go for a drink. I says, "What? It was a Wednesday night or something like that. You're all right." You just signed a fucking contract. I wish I never got your contract. I went, all right. So it was a Wednesday. On the Friday, he gutted me. He gave me the hardest training session I've ever had. He sent me to Dundee United on a Friday night to play the reserves. And then I played in the first team on a Saturday too. I can't remember who it was, but that's the way he got round me in the way. But I don't think his message helped a lot of players. I don't think they were happy with him, to be honest.
No.
At the end of the day, you know, everybody's different. You just have to get on with what's round about you and who's in charge of you.
Yeah. It didn't take long before Fergus McCann comes in like a whirlwind. Lou McCarry leaves the club and in comes Tommy Burns. Now you had played against Tommy as an opponent when you were at Hearts. He then became your manager. So fondly remembered, Mike, from Celtic fans. What was it like to play under Tommy Burns?
It was great, but I played with Tommy too. I played
Yeah.
for him when I signed for Celtic. I played with him. Incredible person, incredible. And when
Was
he
it
came
difficult when you eventually were managed by one of your ex-teammates?
Sorry?
Was it difficult if your
No, I
teammate
don't
became
think
your
so.
manager?
I don't think so, because he'd finished playing, hadn't he? And or did he go somewhere else to play for a bit?
He went to
before
Kelly
his
for a wee
manager?
while. Yeah.
No, he's
Kilmarnock.
manager there, wasn't he, Kelly?
Yeah.
Aye, right. No, it wasn't. No, it was great. Tommy was amazing. I've got so much time for Tommy, to be honest, because when I had my car accident, Tommy and Billy Stark and somebody else were the first persons down at the hospital in Leicester beside my bed. And there was a story that Tommy touched, I was still in a coma. Tommy touched my leg. He says, "Come on, Sykes, you'll be all right." And apparently I moved my leg. He was amazing. I mean, I spoke to him in great deal about moving from Celtic to Leicester, because I was having problems at home and different things. I was going through a divorce, and I felt a break would be good for me. Tommy was 100% behind me. He says, "Right, we'll see what comes along." Within a couple of days, Leicester, Matt McGee got in touch, and I went down there on loan. But no, if I was great player, great person, amazing religious man, lovely family, exactly like Paul McStay, a different person.
Yeah.
But to be down at the hospital first straight away when I had the car accident, that speaks what Tommy Burns is.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the accident, Mike, because I mean, there's a moment in your life where nothing's the same again after that. You'd been offered a contract, or there was a contract in the offing, wasn't there, from Leicester? Yeah, I mean, you were
I was
planning
going to
to go
sign a
back
4-year
down.
contract, aye.
Yeah. And you're coming up the road, is that right?
No, I think I was. There's a lot I don't remember, and I still don't remember a lot. I think I was just out. I was driving about, and it was in the local area, Dunstan, Bassett, round Leicester. It's like one of the country places. And apparently, I've turned to go right, and whether I've seen somebody coming or not, I don't know. And whether he said he was doing 6 mile an hour or something, and hit the side on. And that was that, aye.
And you were in a coma. How many
I
weeks
was in
were
it.
you in?
I was in and out of coma for like, I think what they said was I was in a coma for 3 weeks, but then they kept me in.
Yep.
Induced, is it? For another 3 weeks. Like things in my body was healing and things like that. Then it was like quite a long time in hospital.
Yeah. And then you
Really,
got all
I
the
couldn't-
physiotherapy after that as well, Mike, haven't you?
Sorry?
You got all the physio as well after that.
Yeah, you go learning how to walk again. Going to sick kids' hospitals and seeing people walk and how they walk. And it was incredible. It was like it was starting again from an infant, knowing what to do. And probably one of the hardest times of my life, to be honest.
When the news is broken to you, because obviously, as you say, there's a lot of things you don't remember. You're then in a coma. You come back from that and you're told that your injuries are so bad that you'll never play football again. I mean, how on earth do you deal with that, Mike?
I think what kept me going was because every injury I had in football I got through. So I just thought I'll be all right. And then when you get told you never play football again, because it take me years to get back to normal anyway. I don't think it's sunk in. I really don't think it's sunk in until after I got sober. And there was a Blair. It must have hurt me.
Yeah.
It must have hurt me. And I must have knew what he said, but I never dwelt on it. I drank, and just drinking my life out, killing myself again, and I just been through a car accident, and I'm killing myself again. But it was difficult. It was difficult to get over, but I think coming off drink was harder.
Right.
And eventually we got there.
Yeah.
We got there.
And I want to focus on that because that's an incredible recovery. See, when I talk to players who have maybe been part of an era where the drinking might have been part of the culture, Mike, but it's all during a time where you're a professional athlete and you get away with it to a degree. When the football's removed from that, but the drink remains, does it become a really dark experience for someone like yourself?
To the last stage of the drinking, yeah, it was just, I was crying out for help that I didn't want. I wasn't going to give in. I wanted to get through it myself. But I wasn't big enough and I wasn't strong enough because there was only one thing that was beating me, and that was alcohol.
Yeah, yeah.
And I couldn't stop. Because I would just start again. If I had to stop, I had to stop. And that's when I went down to the clinic with Tony Adams and Sporting Chance, which was a massive saving in my life, a massive part of my life. And I got through the 28 days, and difficult, but it was put me in the right way,
It's an incredible thing that Tony Adams has done there, isn't it? Because he realises that not just footballers, but there's a lot of people in your position who, after the floodlights have faded, if you like, it's a difficult world to live in. Add to that your injuries. But you've gone down there and you credit that as being a massive part of the reason for your recovery.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. If I hadn't done that and I hadn't stuck the 28 days out, I don't think I'd be in the position I am right now. So yeah, it was a big, big help. I mean, he went through hell when he was a player. But no, it was definitely a step in the right direction that put me where I am today. So yeah, a lot of credit goes to Sporting Chance, definitely.
Now, just coming down here, we've spoken off and on for quite a few years. Finally meet today. It looks like in this area, in these surroundings, that you're in a happy place. It's great to see, Mike. It's a great recovery. Let's finish on a positive. When Celtic fans gathered to pay benefit to you at Celtic Park, I remember Robbie Coltrane being in the crowd. Kenny Dalglish is playing for Celtic. An amazing memory for you.
Yeah, it was. I mean, all the people that was after the game. I mean, I got presented with a prize for Kenny Dalglish, and you're like still in awe of somebody like Kenny Dalglish. Robbie Coltrane was there. I'm sure Sean Connery was there. There's a few of the Glasgow, the film stars that everybody knows and all that. They were all there, and it was great for everybody to turn out for me. And it was really good what Celtic done. All the people that got me going, like PLO was part of it, and Raymond Sharp. Was it Raymond Sharp, wasn't it?
The agent.
Yeah.
Raymond Sparks, was it?
Sparks, yeah, Raymond Sparks. And a few other lads that they helped out to get that sorted out, which I'm forever grateful. But in a wee way, it put me on the right road to drink. But that's no excuse for what they done for me. At that stage was amazing, absolutely amazing. And for, I don't know, was it 30,000 or whatever was there, or I don't know how many was there. But if there was 2 there, I'd be over the moon. It was great. It was fantastic, and forever grateful for the incredible Celtic support, the Celtic family, the people around. And I'm talking for the kit women to the tea lady, to everybody in Celtic.
Well, Mike, it's been a long time coming, but I've got to say it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.
No problem. Thanks very much for coming down, and great to see you.
Brilliant.